right. Morgan, Tom, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
I'm so excited to speak to both of you. Morgan, I was saying to you when I saw you like a minute ago how incredible you look. You make pregnancy look chic AF. So well done, girlfriend.
It's because nothing else fits. I'm like, I'll stick to my fashion. I love it. I've never been into maternity wear. It's too tight for me. I can't breathe.
Yeah.
So, no, very lucky.
Keep it flowing, baby.
No.
Like, you know.
I appreciate it.
How are you feeling?
Good now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always tell people the first trimester was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
And people talk about it, but it's not until you're in it, right?
Yes. That's a big call for you as well, Miss Olympian, blah, 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 blah.
Honestly, I would rather do that every day of the week. That was, and that's one thing I enjoy though, is like going through pregnancy. We're now in the third trimester. I actually appreciate mums so much more. Like my sister's a mother, my mum's my mum, you know, some of my friends are mothers. But it's not until you go through it that you're like, oh, I get it now.
Oh, yeah.
And I appreciate them. Yeah,
100%. Right. It's a lived experience, they often say.
For sure.
Yes. To those listening, I'd love to introduce Morgan and Tom. So they are expecting twin girls. Oh my God. So adorable. I'm a boy mum. So like I have this thing about like wanting like these beautiful like, girls with like bows in their hair. Although I should say we shouldn't stereotype because girls don't necessarily have to have bows in their hair. But
if you want bows.
Morgan's very much against bows.
No, I'm not. I just don't like the big bow. The big that like takes over their whole face. That just that scares me. Yeah. Like, where's her head? All I see is a bow. But that's me.
Can they breathe under it?
Yeah.
No, I love it. So Morgan is an Olympic sprinter and has made 3 world championships, 2 Commonwealth Games, 2 Olympics, representing Australia at both 2016 Rio and 2021 Tokyo Olympics. Morgan is said to be focusing on earning a place in the Australian Olympic team for 2028. At least that's what I read. So
yeah. You are right.
I'm like, damn, girl, you go for it. I love that. And is also on the latest season of Australian Survivor. And Tom is basically Morgan's husband and great support, as you mentioned before we hit record, Morgan, and first time podcaster with us today. How are you feeling, Tom?
I'm feeling pretty good, feeling relaxed at the moment.
Yeah. Yes. No, I love it. Guys, I want to delve straight into the pregnancy. How's it been?
Yeah. Fun. I'm not going to lie.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
I think fun for me, not for Tom. I think when I got back from filming Survivor, I told Tom, I just don't care. Whatever happens, happens. Yeah. Because in my head, I thought it will take us at least a month or so to really, or maybe even 2 months to fall pregnant. 4 weeks later, we're pregnant. And then 3 weeks after that, our OB is telling us that we're having twins.
Damn.
And I think I finally realized, I was like, well, it's scary, but it's also a bit of a privilege because I know how hard it is for some people to conceive these days.
Yeah.
But yeah, here we are. We're about to be parents and we only met in February 2024.
How did you meet, Tom? What happened? What were your first impressions of this gorgeous beast sitting next to you?
I thought she was too good for me. We met on a dating app. Yeah. And I think we matched, but originally I didn't reach out to her because I just thought, I thought it was like a fake profile or something. So I just completely, that's nice. And then just skipped over it. And then a week went by and then I think she reached out to me first. So I can't remember what you said exactly.
I've never been on a dating app in my life. So I just said, hey, Tom, how are you? And then I threw my phone. I was like, that was so embarrassing.
Mate, you got some game. That was pretty sultering text right there.
I was offended. I was like, we've matched. Talk to me.
Yes.
Nothing.
So what was the draw card for you, Morgan? Like, what did you like about Tom's photos? Or was it the copy, the brief? What was it?
He's just so hot. I think at that point I was like, I've never really done the whole dating app thing. Yeah. He's so good looking. And then on this certain dating app, it obviously tells you what they do.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what a business analyst is, but let's catch up. Like, I want to learn more. I still don't know what a business analyst is.
That's the best.
I actually messaged you on your birthday. That was the other thing.
That's right. Yeah, it was my birthday present.
Yeah. And so what, hit it off from the first date or what was the story?
Yeah, Tom.
We went to Miss Miyagi's in Melbourne and that night we tried to get tattoos together.
Stop it.
We're
that
crazy.
Is the best. Why? Just cause?
Just it was something fun to do. We had dinner and then I can't remember what we were speaking about exactly, but yeah, we just had the idea and we're like, oh, let's go do it. And then we drove into the city, but the place was closed that we wanted to go to. So the night ended there And then and then we got tattoos the next date. So the second date we went and got tattoos.
What were the tattoos?
What did we get?
88.
88. Yeah, we love Kill Bill. That was one thing that we found out we had in common.
Yeah.
And I said, I've always wanted the Crazy 88. They're like the worst gang in the world in that movie. It's like, that's a cool tattoo. And he's like, I'll get it. I was like, all right.
YOLO.
We've known each other for 5 days at this point?
Wow.
Yeah.
So permanent and now really permanent, right?
Yeah. No, seriously.
We're committed
baby's
to
on
making
the
it
way.
work from that night on.
Wow. And so the pregnancy itself, first trimester, usually
Tough.
a killer, as we will say. So, and since then progressed okay, or how you feeling?
I tell you, it's so funny because it's like you go through it, but then you forget about it just like that once it's done. And now that I'm feeling better, it's hard to kind of recap.
Yeah.
Actually, I tell you what, I'll get you to talk about it, Tom, because I was sick every day and he looked after me. He's still looking after me, you could imagine, right? He's the best. But it was so much so that I remember one time he was working, he was in a business meeting. I walked into the kitchen. I thought, I'm going to try and make myself breakfast this morning. We just moved into our new place. We've been there for like 3 months.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the kitchen, never really been in here. I was like, babe, where are the forks? Like, I had no idea where anything was in our own house. That's when people ask me, I'm like, it's actually been a lot easier because of the support, just being Tom. Like, we live together, we have our dog Alfie, and that's it.
Yeah.
But the pregnancy itself, I think, that's what has made it easier. But it is that internal, like, the nausea, the weight gain. I told you before, I woke up one day, you just can't see your toes. That's really weird for me. Like, and getting used to this new life. Yeah. But the thing I love, I'm also like, it sucks. Some parts definitely suck.
Yeah.
But it's the privilege of being able to grow two humans and then we're going to be parents soon. Yeah. I'm like, that is just, to me, that's just like the coolest thing ever. I always wanted it, but I didn't think it would happen.
Yeah.
And now we've got 3-4 weeks left? Yeah.
Why do you say you didn't think it would happen?
Yeah, I think it really is about finding the right person. And it's not just someone you love, but it's finding someone that you love that also has good qualities and good values and you know that they're capable of loving someone else, not just themselves and their partner. Yeah. And I see that in Tom for sure. Gassing him up here. I never really talk like this. You're very lucky. You got me on a good day. But that was important to me because I grew up without a dad, single mum, 3 sisters. Yeah. And I look at Tom and I'm like, knowing our girls is going to have the best dad, I think that's the coolest thing ever. Yeah. And it's something I get to watch and experience secondhand. Yep. And he's not dad, he's daddy to me. But I'm just kidding.
What about you, Tom? Just on that note, did you ever think you were going to have kids? What was your experience?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if I thought I was going to have kids this quickly. I think it was always something I definitely wanted to have, but not this soon. I think, with Morgan, I probably would have wanted to have like another few years with her, but she came back from Survivor and she was like, this is happening.
Yeah. Were you shocked? What was your impression?
To be honest, not really. I think I knew she was pregnant before we got the test back. The changes were so obvious, like her stomach. What else was it? Yeah, it was just, you could really noticeably tell that something was different about it.
Yeah.
And she kept testing. I was like, it's not going to show. It's not going to show. And then one day she came in and showed me. I was like, well, I told you.
Yeah, that's so crazy. Did you have thoughts about girls, boys? What did you think gender-wise?
I didn't care.
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever it is. Like my sister has 3 boys and then I grew up, I'm one of 9, but I have 3 full sisters and then there's 2 boys. So I was kind of used to whatever. Yeah. It's just not something I thought about. I'm like, as long as they're happy and healthy.
Yeah.
I wanted a boy.
Oh, did you?
I was dead set. Like I'm the youngest of 5 and I've always wanted like a little brother, and that was something like I was like, yeah, definitely. And I think we read this stupid thing where it was like boy sperm swim faster but don't last as long girl sperm. It was something stupid like that. Yeah. And we like conceived right in like this right period that it should be a boy. And I was like, it's definitely like two twins. It's definitely at least going to be one boy. Yeah, yeah. And then when we got hit with that information, I was just like mourning the loss of a boy.
It was the funniest
hey guys,
thing
there's
ever.
always round 2
He wants round 2, 3, 4, and 5. Are you kidding? If it was up to him, I'd have an army of children.
So as soon as she crosses that finish line in 2028, we'll go.
I love it. And just on that, I want to touch on, Morgan, some of your incredible achievements. Obviously, you know, being at the height of your career when it comes to sprinting, etc. And I did read that Kathy Freeman had a big impact on you, and I believe you know her well as well. But I think finding someone that you feel almost represents you, whether it's something about the way she looks or the way she acts, I don't know, I'd love to know more. But what do you think about representation when it comes to a younger generation and people seeing people that look like them, you know, in the height of their careers?
Yeah, I think it's very important. Like anyone that you ask, I think most people loved Kathy regardless because we hadn't really had someone of that caliber in such a long time.
Yeah.
But definitely being a woman of colour, like everyone knows my favourite person on planet Earth is Rihanna. Like my favourite person.
What a boss.
Yeah. Yes. But it is that representation is so important because, especially in a country like Australia where we are few and far in between, women of colour on these types of platforms, whether it's entertainment, sport, art, you do see that. And I remember seeing people like Kathy as a kid, or even when the first Barbie, I remember when the brown Barbie came out and I flipped it. I was like, Mum, I need 10 of them. Like, this is crazy. It just strikes something. Like it inside me internally, I was like, oh, I can be seen. I can be heard. There's actually hope for me to be that person one day, or it's almost like you have a reference. And a lot of people used to try and shoot me down for it. But I'm like, no, you guys have your Hailey Biebers, your Sabrina Carpenters. They're great women.
Yeah.
But that's your representation and that is everywhere. So when we just get a little taste of it, I feel like I've won the lottery. I'm like, oh, it is possible and you can fight to get to that point in your life.
Yes.
And I realized that from an early age, and I'm just so grateful that having that belief and being able to clock that really early is because like I'm where I'm at now because of that. And it's just nice.
It's amazing. And because we are a podcast, for those listening who don't know who you are, can you tell us a bit about your background, ethnicity?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I thought we were going like the sporting route.
We'll go deep soon.
No, so I am mixed. My dad is African-American. He grew up in Miami and then came to Australia. My mum's Aussie. She's country New South Wales. So two complete opposite ends of the earth.
Yeah.
And so I have experienced, you know, the best and worst of everything. I've heard everything. I've researched a lot about what it's like being, you know, a woman of colour, what it's like being mixed. You know, colorism's a big thing. Just to be informed, because I know now, especially, you know, us becoming parents, our kids will be mixed as well. And it's something I have to teach them and kind of educate them on so they're aware. I don't want them coming home crying because they don't understand certain things that we weren't able to inform them on.
Yeah, I can totally relate. It's funny for me, I always looked up to Oprah. And here we are sitting on the couch, like at Parenthood. This is like my version. But like I want the sass of Beyonce, but like I want Oprah's like just candidness to be able to sit down with people. And isn't it interesting? Again, I mean, I'm mixed, and people listening would know that I'm Greek Nigerian, and so again, quite the you know difference of ethnicities there mixed up in one. And it's interesting. I can so relate to you when you say just being able to find people that kind of look a little bit like you, that you hang on and you're like, oh, okay, if they can do it, then we can do it. And I think what's really great now is, you know, you are now that representation to like the next generation that look like us, you know.
It's crazy.
It's so crazy. I want to talk to just on the race conversation. There was a quote that you had in the Tempo Journal, and you said around silent racism, you said it's easier to be silent because it's like headbutting a brick wall, but we have the chance now to change the narrative and to fight. We can no longer excuse the silent racism. I don't care if it makes you feel uncomfortable. It's made me upset my whole life. How far do you think we've come with silent racism in this country, and what more do you want to see?
Ooh. Yeah, because that would have been 2019, 2020, I think. Oh, God, how old was I?
It was a while back,
I was 24, 25. Headstrong. I remember saying that. I think we have a long way to go, though, for sure. It's, you know, even since the whole 2020 George Floyd movement, a lot more people were scared to speak up because of it. And since that moment, I thought, let me actually get into the deep dive of silent racism. And I found out it is there's so many more layers than we actually realize. And even in Australia especially, like I would travel to and from Australia and America. I've got family and friends over there, so I was always there. And there's a clear difference, and it is quite sad because we're so silent here. People think it doesn't exist and we are, you know, the country that's progressive, and it's like we're really not. I have so many moments where silent racism has occurred and you bring it up and then people want to run away. And I'm like, you've just proved my point. And a lot of people don't want to believe it's a thing because they have stayed silent for so long. And the only thing I can say now is you really do have to research the psychology of it all to open your eyes, and you would honestly be amazed at what you can find out about silent racism. If I honestly get into it right now, we'd be here for 4 days. That's why I can't really touch on it.
That's our new mini-series. No.
But yeah. Like I can give you one example though. I remember it was 2020, just before the world shut down for obvious reasons. I was speaking at the F1. It was a Women's Day luncheon for a certain car brand, and they were amazing. The brand were awesome. It was myself and 2 other Olympians. And I brought my friend Nana, and I said, she's so good. So she's Ghanaian, and she knows I have a bit of social anxiety every now and then, and she knows how to handle the situation. And we get put at this table at the front, and no one would talk to us. We tried being friendly. There was one lady, she was, her background, she was Indian, and she was awesome. We had a good laugh, but everyone acted like we didn't exist. And I said to Nana, watch this. All right, Morgan, come up and, you know, she's an Olympian, come up and tell your story, la, 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 la. These are her accolades, this is what she's done, and I've told everyone about my story, the Olympics, Com Games. I remember getting back and sitting down, everyone on the table. No, I wish Nana was here. She was like, business card here, business card there. How are you going? My daughter wants to run. Do you know any coaches? And part of me was like, oh, $signs. But then the other part of me was like, no, you guys need to learn. That's just not okay. You didn't accept us when we walked in because you didn't know if we were worthy of sitting at the table. And then you had to read my resume to give me the time of day. And then you want to treat me like a human being.
Yeah.
And that still occurs in some spaces that I still walk into if people don't know me. And I don't need them to. I just need basic respect like everybody else in the room.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was just one example. And that's when I realized, yeah, we have a long way to go.
Yeah.
Very long way to go.
From your perspective, Tom, do you notice it much? I'm curious as well if when your daughters essentially come to you with questions about race, have you sort of thought about how you would handle those questions?
No, I think it's something that Morgan is still like educating me on as well, because obviously haven't had any experiences like that in my life. So yeah, since meeting Morgan, it's been something that's kind of, she's had to teach me every now and then. And I think it'll be something we'll need to continually learn, and I'll have to learn how to deal with it with the girls.
I think it's amazing, like just bringing, even just having this conversation here might make others more aware of it, and things like that. It's just about bringing it to light. And as you said, making sure it's not, the uncomfortableness of it all doesn't silence everyone,
Yeah, for sure.
I'm curious as well, Morgan, you had a single mom who brought you up. You've got your sisters, as you said, sort of a big tribe there. That's like all power to single parents, I think.
Crazy.
Like what a job, and hat goes off. What do you think, and I know I did actually read that you, there was a particular charity, I'm going to get the name of it, Cottage by the Sea, that you accessed as a child, and they support underprivileged children, and I believe now you support them too, which is just an amazing full circle moment.
Yeah.
But talk to me about how your upbringing enabled you to build that resilience to the point where, resilience, hard work, to the point where you're at the absolute top of your game.
Yeah, it's almost like a sink or swim, I think. Where I grew up, and I always say, every podcast, I'm like, shout out Werribee. People used to laugh at me because I'm from the West. Yeah. But I'm also like, we have a Victoria's Secret model and an NBA player from the West. I wouldn't speak.
Mic drop.
But it was that. It's just, my sisters and I were so competitive. I think it was just always in our nature, which we're quite lucky. But Mum was great. She would guide us in the right direction, but she also said, if you want your freedom, so for us it was like getting ourselves to the local pool. She said, you can go, but you have to find your own way there because I've got to work. I've got to work to provide for you guys. So we'd map it out and we'd start walking. We'd, get all our churchies to try and find a bus ticket so we could just, get on our way.
Yeah.
And you do build that from a young age because I experienced the whole racism. I experienced the bullying, people talking about where you grew up and how you're not worthy. And it would just ignite this fire where you want to prove a point. And that's one thing I admire is I learnt resilience from such a young age because of what I went through, that as you get older, you can see the people that grew up with privilege and complain about the weirdest things versus the ones that just get on with it and are successful. Again, I love like kind of drawing on stories or things I've seen. The perfect example would be, you know, someone like, I don't know if people watch the F1, but it's Lewis Hamilton versus, I don't know, Lance Stroll. I'm like, how does this man come from nothing and he's whooping everybody versus people that have been given everything and can't even crack what he's done? And I know the girls will grow up with privilege. Like, I will definitely guide them in certain directions to make sure they're safe and happy, but I also want them to understand that things don't come easy, and when they don't, you do kind of almost create this like extra shield around you that you can kind of conquer anything, because if you can get through X, Y, and Z, the rest is just fun at that point.
Yeah.
And then you get to the top, and that feeling of success is just 20 times better because you've had to work 100 times harder for it. Yeah. And I know people hate me for that. I'm like, well, I mean, shit. Sometimes I do think if I grew up in a millionaire family, I wouldn't mind kicking up my feet. Like, but I didn't. These are the cards I was dealt, and I made the most out of it.
Yeah, so much respect, and can relate. Probably more so from my dad's perspective. No, what's right?
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah.
From my dad's perspective, he came to this country from Nigeria with nothing, sort of thing, and similar to, you know, really had to build a life for our family alongside my mum, who's, as I said, from Greece, and they really fought. And then I feel like I'm the beneficiary, absolutely, of their hard work, but they had a good balance of still teaching that level of resilience and hard work, and that, yes, you've got it easier, like they'd say to me, than we did, but it's important to, you know, to make sure that you are grounded, you know, and don't,
it's important.
you know, and I think that's the biggest thing as parents. We want our children to have the best life, but it's also, now I'm thinking about my children and they've got even more privilege than I had. Okay, great. But how do we ensure that we are still motivating them and that they don't take that for granted, you know?
100%, especially because you realise, I mean, I know I'm only 30, but I know you have to take that approach because one day we aren't going to be here.
Yep.
So you need to instill that resilience in them, because once you're gone, right? And you don't really want to leave them with nothing.
Right.
And that's one thing I do always think about is like, all right, how do we make sure they're happy, healthy, but also working hard and treat people with respect along the way?
Yeah. Have you thought about it, Tom, from your perspective, you know, ways in which you feel you could maybe instill that sort of resilience and motivation when it comes to the girls? Like, I don't know, it's probably a big question. You don't even, the girls haven't arrived yet, but I'm curious, even from your upbringing, things that maybe worked really well that you might want to also implement.
No, I'm not too sure. I think that's what kind of scared me about having girls in the first place is like I didn't grow up as a girl, so I've got no idea how to raise them, and like having a little boy in my head was like, oh, yeah, I know what it's like to grow up as a boy, so I know how to, like, every step of the way. And when we found out we're having twin girls, I was like, I've got no idea like what they go through or anything like that. So it's something I still need to learn on how to actually, you know, instill these things in them.
It's amazing though. I so can relate to you because I grew up with two sisters and I didn't know anything about boys. Like I was like, boys, I knew them from like 16 onwards, and that was like from a social perspective only. So I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, and then when the second one was a boy too, I was like, are you sure? Are you sure it's not a girl? So I'm like, I just want that girl. But I have to say, Tom, it's been the best. Like, and as I said, similar to you, I had an idea as to maybe what I would have liked gender-wise. But yeah, they've just been the best. And I think you just learn, like obviously like most things in parenting, you learn on the fly. And I think there's something so beautiful about that, you know, the dad-daughter bond, the mother-son bond. I don't know, like that I just don't think I really ever appreciated until I, you know, had children myself. So I'm so like excited for you to like, because it's all new, right? Like you said, like you haven't had necessarily these preconceived ideas as to what it could look like.
He's ready to be a girl dad. Yeah. Trust me.
Yeah, I got two older sisters, so don't worry. I was treated like a girl. So.
Yeah. No, I love it. And as you are preparing for, I guess, the birth, which is coming up, are there any things that, I don't know, scare either of you? Like what comes to mind around, does anything scare you, or are you really taking it one day at a time?
What scares you? I actually want to know this. He's so chill. I complain every day. I'm like, are you scared?
No, I think it comes back to what I was saying. Like it's it was only the other day when we saw, just like, we were out walking at night and we saw a girl that was just like probably mid-20s just walking with headphones on. And it's something I've never had to think about as a guy, like just like how scary it is to be a woman. And so, yeah, raising girls, that's what kind of scares me, is just like there's so much things that I've never had to think about as a guy. But yeah, those are the scary things that I think about for the most part.
Yeah, makes sense. What about you, Morgan? Anything come to mind?
About
Anything that you're a bit unsure about in the next chapter that's about among you?
first is the birth.
Oh, yes, that's
Like,
fair.
I think I try to live my life day to day.
Yeah.
So that's like the first thing. But I think, not really. I feel like in my head, I'm like, we're going to be the best parents. We're going to have so much fun. What could go wrong?
Yeah.
And so I try to avoid the negative. Yeah. But I think I'm also just so stoked to have someone like Tom that can allow me to feel and think that way.
Yes.
And we have so much support from our friends and family. Yeah. But I think in this world it's mainly the social media that scares me. And we even said we're going to start them on all the movies we grew up with, and they can get used to the technology, how we got used to it over time. Yeah. Yes. But it's definitely the social media, the bullying and the peer pressure that really scares me. But one thing I took away from my mum is we were the most open and honest family. He came to our first family dinner and he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, nothing gets past us.
Yeah.
And I want my girls to be open and honest with us so we can keep them as safe as possible, because you can help them, but you just don't know what these other children are doing.
Yeah.
And so that's probably the only real thing I'm thinking about is how do we control mobile phones, TikTok. I know they're going to want all of that stuff. Yeah. I'm a bit like, I don't really
it's a
know.
world
it's a scary world.
We didn't grow up in, right?
Yeah.
So we can't reflect on our childhood and go, oh yeah, that's what my parents did.
Yeah. So what do you do? Like Instagram came out when I was in year 12.
Yeah.
You know, I was like 18. So yeah,
so
pray for me because I'm sorry. That's the only thing I just don't know.
I feel like this is where we lean on our village and our tribe of other parents and we all just work it out together.
Like, what did you do?
Yeah, right. No, I love it. Guys, thank you so much for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm wishing you all the best for the birth and beyond.
We'll keep you posted.
And I can't wait to see the little munchkins when they arrive.
We'll have to bring them in next time.
Yes. Thanks so much again guys.
Thanks for having us.